Welcome into PowerMizzou.com's live postgame show, SEC tournament semifinals style. The Missouri Tigers done in Nashville after a 72-61 loss to Alabama. Throughout the next little while, we're going to take your comments, your questions, interact with you guys. We're going to catch up with Drew King live from Nashville. And we're going to talk about the most difficult thing to do in all of sports that Missouri fans need to do today and are not going to like to do today. We will get to that momentarily, but as always, I want to start the show by reminding you guys to get in touch with our friend at James Carlton State Farm Insurance. Oddly enough, his name is James Carlton. That's why the insurance agency is called that. You can check him out at carltoninsurance.net. You can call him at 314-961-4800. James wants to take care of your insurance needs, auto, home, life, whatever. You guys got to have insurance. If you don't, I mean, keep that to yourself, but you should get in touch with James and he's going to take care of you the best he can. He is also going to, if you get in touch with him and get a quote from him, tell him you heard about it on Power Mizzou. He's going to donate $20 to PowerMizzou.com's arm of Everett Your Tiger Foundation, which is the preferred NIL collective at the University of Missouri. NIL, kind of a big deal in college sports these days. And I would imagine that maybe the reason Alabama won the game today is they've got a guy worthy of some NIL deals. So want to invite you guys, first of all, if you are here on YouTube with us, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, say nice things about us on social media. Feel free to throw up your comments and questions in the queue. We will get to those. Producer Alex going to moderate the comments and throw those up throughout the show. And appreciate you guys being here with us. So the monologue, I guess, is what they call this part of the show. I'm just going to tell you guys off the bat. The hardest thing to do as a sports fan is to simply tip your cap and admit the other team was better. And that is mostly what this game was about. Missouri is a very good basketball team. I think they have a chance to do some damage in March. I think they could be playing still in 2 weeks. I think they have had a phenomenal season that has exceeded all expectations. I think there is nothing to be unhappy about if you are a Missouri fan. And I think Alabama is elite and has the best player in the SEC, maybe the best player in the country, and that showed up today. When Alabama's best wasn't working, when they were 2 for 20 from three-point range, when they were turning the ball over, when they were doing some things that generally they don't do, Alabama had some other things that they could turn to. When Missouri's best wasn't working, when Missouri was 7 for 25 from three-point range, Missouri didn't really have much else it could turn to. Alabama was, at one point in this game, 2 for 20 from three-point range. They hit 6 of their last 7. 2-point shooting was even more of a difference. From 2-point range, Alabama was 20 for 30. Missouri was 16 for 43. That is somewhere around 37% from 2-point range. And the personnel difference was the difference in this game, guys, because on neither end of the floor were they calling very much. They were letting these teams play. And I liked the way it was called for the most part. It wasn't worse one way or the other. They let these teams decide the game and they weren't calling many fouls, and it was that way from the beginning. The difference is that when Missouri was going in the lane, Alabama had the length and the athleticism that not only impacted the way Missouri shot the ball, but it made Missouri in the second half not shoot the ball. They were getting in the lane and they were hesitating. They were passing up, layups and jump shots, and they were kicking the ball out. And I saw a lot of frustration from Missouri fans in the first half. They're missing easy shots. No, they were not easy shots. They were close to the basket, but they were contested shots because you have guys like Noah Clowney and Charles Bediako and Brandon Miller that were contesting those shots at the rim and just making it really, really difficult for Missouri to ever get a clean look at the basket. On the other end, Alabama was 2 for 20 from three-point range. So what did they start doing? They started beating Missouri off the dribble. And when they got in the lane, then the interior guys were having to come help on the driver. And it was just layup, dunk, alley-oop, layup. And Alabama had easy looks. That's why Alabama went 20 for 30 and Missouri went 16 for 43 from 2-point range. That was simply a talent difference, a personnel difference. Missouri is a very good basketball team. Alabama is an elite basketball team. Missouri is a team that I think has a chance to play on the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. Alabama is a team that has a chance to go 6-0 and win a national title. I mean, I really can't build up any frustration or anger about this game from Missouri. They were up on Alabama 5 points in the second half. They were, I'll go to the play-by-play. I'm going to guess with 13 minutes left, Missouri had the lead. It may be later than that. So Alabama took the lead 40-39 at the 12:50 mark. Alabama led the rest of the way. So, yeah, with 13 minutes left, Missouri had the lead on what I personally believe to be the most talented and best team in college basketball. And on a day when Missouri wasn't playing its best basketball, they didn't play badly. They had one of the most incredible shots I've ever seen from Demoy Hodge. But eventually, guys, the talent won out. The better team won this game. And it's a bad matchup for Missouri. Now, we can talk about some of the guys that struggled, and I'm sure we're going to talk about some of the guys that struggled. But this game ultimately was about the best player in the Southeastern Conference. And look, I understand all the arguments about Brandon Miller. And I understand if you are of the belief that Brandon Miller should not be on the basketball floor, right? Whatever. That's a different conversation. The bottom line is he is on the basketball court. And when he's on the basketball court, he is the best player in the Southeastern Conference, if not the best player in college basketball. And in the second half, he simply showed it. He took over that game at 40-39 Missouri. I'm sorry, at 39-38 Missouri. You had a Noah Clowney 3-point play that put them up 41-39. Then you had a 3 by Brandon Miller. To put Bama up 5. Noah Carter countered with a 3. You had a 3 by Brandon Miller to put them up 5. Next possession, 3 by Noah Gurley, assist by Brandon Miller. I mean, Brandon Miller in the 11-3, and actually it was a 14-3 run. In a 14-3 run by Alabama, Brandon Miller had 8 points and an assist. He took that game over at the most critical time. And the other thing is, so he outplayed Kobe Brown, which, hey, Alabama's star is a lottery pick. Missouri's star he might be an NBA player. Alabama's supporting cast is also better. Demoy Hodge was good today. Dre Golston did some things. Noah Carter, I thought, made some plays. Missouri basically played 5 guys in this game. Let me look at Missouri's stats. So Missouri had 6 guys play 20 or more minutes. 5 of them, the Golston, Hodge, Honor, Brown, and Carter played 31 minutes or more. Aiden Shaw played 3 minutes, so basically didn't play. The only minutes outside of those 5 from Missouri were 34 combined minutes from Mohamed Diarra and Sean East. And guys, they were bad. I mean, look, I'm not saying Missouri wins this game without them, but Missouri can't win that game with 5 guys. Like, this team has been pretty good with depth and with bench play. And outside of the 5 guys I mentioned, and Nick Honor wasn't really even great. But Mo Diarra had 4 points. 2 of them came when the game was decided. Aiden Shaw was 0 for 1. Sean East did not score. Diarra, Shaw, and East, which Diarra started, but for all intents and purposes, I'm going to call that Missouri's bench today because the five best they have are Golston, Hodge, Honor Brown, and Shaw. So, and Carter. So Diarra, Shaw, East combined to go 2 for 12 from the floor, 2 for 8 from 3-point range, three rebounds. I'm sorry, a turnover. They did have 4 steals, so that was nice. But basically, Missouri played that entire game against the best team in the country with 5 guys that were functionally helping them to do anything to win. It's just not a recipe, man. It's just not a recipe. With this style of play, DeGray and he's not this team opinion. And I'm not insulting the kid. I'm just saying that I don't count with Ronnie DeGray. He hasn't played in weeks. Trago Million would have helped in this game. I think Trago Million the last 2 days would have gotten some. He got wins. He just didn't have it. Week he has had been some games that Missouri does win without Sean East. It was tough for him in Nashville. Absolutely no. I do want to make sure that we are getting to just quick recap and shout out to Alex for Bama 72-1. Kobe rebounds. Interesting. He seemed better. Miller 20 points, 4 assists. He dominated that. The most incredible. Tried to make some one-on-one plays and do some things, and he had a little success, but he down there and he wasn't getting the calls and he wasn't getting to the front, and it started to impact. That is that hurts. Boston and the rest of the I thought really just kind of stopped. Not it just stopped working, to be quite honest. So that's it. The stream, I hope it's my wife seems to be struggling now. Me, if anybody can throw in the comments, yeah, is an internet issue, guys. I hope news. I'm gonna comment. It says I'm cutting in and out, and there's this we are kind of mercy. It works for you. No, I'm telling. I've nothing has changed. Try to stick this out. I know this is struggling me because this is on my end. I know that the internet provider start working. Zachary really needed a better shooting the ball. My internet doesn't even really work well enough to tell. And 6 from 3-point range. I tell you what, guys. After we restart this, we're gonna have to so yeah, I'm gonna leave the studio and I'll be right back, and we'll see if this works. Okay. I am back on the screen, so I'm gonna need you guys to tell me if this sounds any better. I am no longer getting an internet warning, so hopefully it works, and we'll see how it goes. Hey guys, technology is what it is, man. We're at the mercy of machines, and so I appreciate you guys sticking with me through this, and yeah, now we're back talking a little basketball. We're going to get back to some of your guys' comments. Yeah, so let's get back to what Zachary was saying. Needed a better game from Nick Honor, no question. He was 1 for 10, 1 for 6 from 3-point range. But look, that's the thing about this team is Nick Honor is like he's the guy who got you here with a huge last 2 minutes, right? He had an off day, and on a day against a team that, I mean, Nick Honor's a 5'10" guard that's built like a running back, and that is an incredibly long and athletic Alabama team. And so Honor, wasn't his day. Ron says Gates has pushed the right buttons the entire year. Bama's one of the best. Don't understand why Shaw didn't play over Diarra. And I kind of agree. I mean, at some point, I don't know, give Aiden Shaw a look, but I again, Dennis Gates has earned the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he just doesn't think Shaw's ready for that game. Now, look, Diarra wasn't ready for that game either. It was pretty obvious early on. And it's understandable. He still hasn't, he's not a super experienced player. It was pretty physical. He went 2 for 8 from the field. Is that too many shots from him? Yeah. Alabama was leaving him open. There's probably a reason for that, but I'm really impressed with Bama's defense, guys. I really am. They made everything really tough for Missouri. It just nothing came easy on that end. Everywhere Missouri went, they ran into somebody, and Alabama didn't have to help a lot to make that happen. If you looked when Golston or Kobe or Honor was driving in the lane, like their guy was still with them. On the other end, to prevent anything inside, Missouri was having to help, and that was leaving either a lob or a kick to the 3 open. And like Bobby Brown says, too much length. Miller's the real deal. Alabama could get to the rim when they wanted, and yeah, Alabama was better. And it makes for good content and for a good show. Like if you can go all Stephen A. Smith and find some take about this game. But the truth is, Alabama's a better basketball team. They proved it all year. They proved it twice against Missouri. I thought this game was closer than a 13-point mark or an 11-point margin. I mean, Missouri was better than 72-61. They had the lead with 13 minutes left. I don't know about you guys. It just felt almost the whole time, like even in the first half, just kind of like Missouri is hanging on by a thread here. Like Alabama is 2 plays away from just ending this for Missouri. And Missouri deserves credit for managing to stay in it and, come back from an 8-point deficit and come back and take the lead and all that. But they just didn't quite have enough. Brad Wood says Golston was very green light today. Let me see how many shots he took. Yeah, Golston took 17 shots. He was 6 of 17 from the floor, 1 of 2 from 3. he's really the only guy that in a game where you're having trouble getting open shots is willing to go try to create one. And I understand that doesn't always work and it's frustrating, but they don't really have anybody else who can do what he can do when the 3-point shot and Drew King wrote about this morning. When the 3-point shot is not falling, Golston and Kobe kind of have to get Missouri going from inside the arc, and they just couldn't do it today. I mean, 2-point shooting, just it wasn't there. Missouri really struggled. Length of Bama, yeah, it was linked and like not just linked as far as shot blocking and getting in the way, but just Alabama's guards are much better defensively. They're much quicker, and they could stay with Missouri's guards. And Missouri was having it. Javon Quinterly wasn't good today. Mark Sears wasn't very good, but they got in the lane a lot and caused Missouri to rotate. And Alabama's 72 points came much easier for Alabama than Missouri's 61 did. Like Missouri had 61 points, and to get to that had to be perfect from the free throw line. Had to have Demoy Hodge throw in, like, I can't even describe the shot at the end of the first half. Just everything was really, really difficult for Missouri. And I think that's what Bama does. They make you work. They make it very, very tough on opposing teams, and that's why they're 28-5. David Newman says the championship would have been great, but not pushing this group another day is not terrible. That's fair. Missouri will be a little more rested for the NCAA tournament. They will fly home tonight. They will do whatever they're doing selection show-wise tomorrow. Then they will, probably leave for their NCAA tournament destination. If they play on Thursday, I would imagine they'll go Monday. If they play on Friday, they might fly out Tuesday. And they will have a day off on Sunday that Alabama and either Texas A&M or Vanderbilt won't, that a handful of other teams won't. So that is the silver lining, and this team probably could use some rest. Kobe Brown took a knee to the head, unintentional. I got to be clear about that. But then Trey Gomillion hasn't played. Can he play? And Man at Arms brings up, do you think Kobe may have played with a concussion? He didn't seem like himself. And I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't imagine. I really hope not. Teams tend to be very safe with that these days. He didn't look like, I mean, he was shaken up clearly, but like he looked like he knew where he was. He came back on the floor and seemed to kind of joke about it with the Bama guy. And like he didn't look like a guy that had a concussion. I know that sounds weird. I'm not a doctor. And I just don't think they would have taken the risk. Now, I will say, once that play happened, I would have sat Kobe for the last minute 15 of that first half and just tried to get to the break without him. He picked up a foul. It wasn't a big deal. It didn't change the game. But once that happened, I probably would have gone without Kobe for the final, 75 seconds of that first half. But that's just me. I don't think it no big impact on the game. Didn't really matter. So Cam wants to know if Gomillion will play next week. You just never know, guys. I mean, Dennis Gates does not share anything as far as injuries and personnel and all that. And we don't really know for sure who's going to play or who's not going to play until 10 minutes before tip-off. A groin injury is one of those things that it can just, like, if it's not 100% healed, it can pop back up. And I'm guessing that's what happened yesterday for Trey Gomillion, or in practice leading up. And Gomillion's only averaging like 5 points and 3 rebounds. So on the surface, you go, what's the big deal? Well, number one, he just gives you another body, and that's huge. But number two, he is one of the better defensive players on this team. He's also kind of a calm presence. he just seems to make the right play. He slows things down when they need to be slowed down. He can handle the ball usually without wildly turning it over. And on a weekend where Sean East clearly was struggling, I think that having Trey Gomillion would have helped. Now, would it have changed this game? I doubt it. I just really doubt it. I don't think there was much that was going to change this game, if we're being honest. Because if you look at it, Alabama didn't play particularly well for the first 15, 20 minutes either. And the difference was that Alabama didn't need 40 good minutes to win this game. Missouri probably did. And again, we come back, that's the talent gap between these two teams. Do want to mention this happened after we were live last night, but obviously the news came out last night and is up on the site. Dennis Gates' new contract extension is the way it was termed. So basically, he was set to make $2.6 million next year. He is now going to make $4 million next year. They added a year to the end of the deal. He is now under contract through the 28-29 season. So basically, he had 5 years left on his deal. He now has 6. Instead of starting at $2.6 million, it's starting at $4 million. It goes up $100,000 every year. I posted on our message board this morning. It is not part of that of the extension, but there should be an increase in the assistant coaching salary pool. So if he needs to get Dickie Nutt or Kyle Smith-Peters or C.Y. Young a little pay bump, he will have the ability to do that this offseason. We've talked a little bit about Gates' name kind of loosely being out there as a candidate for some other jobs. He's done a fantastic job. So this has been in the works at Missouri for at least a week, probably a little bit longer. And this was a preemptive move. This was hey, don't come try to hire a coach because you can't hire a coach. His buyout as of yesterday morning, in other words, if somebody wants to come to him and hire him, they would have owed Missouri $14 million yesterday morning. This morning, that number is now $25.5 million. I know everybody thinks Dennis Gates has done a very good job. I think Dennis Gates has done a very good job. He has not done a good enough job that there is a single basketball program in the country who is going to pay $25.5 million just to hire him before they even pay his salary. So Dennis Gates is locked up at Missouri for the foreseeable future. And look, contracts are broken all the time. I'm not going to say he's here forever, but he is here for the foreseeable future. And Missouri fans should, I think, feel very good about that. I don't think today really changes a lot of people's minds. And I've been pretty impressed with the comments from you guys. I mean, I don't think anyone's taking this one too hard or too seriously. It was a tough game against a really good basketball team that simply didn't go Missouri's way because as Jimmy Dykes said, and look, that was tough to listen to a lot of the day, but I will give Jimmy Dykes this. He was accurate that Alabama had Brandon Miller and Missouri did not. Brandon Miller, 20 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. Charles Bediako, 10 and 5. I'm assuming on 5 dunks. I don't remember him doing anything else. Noah Clowney, 19 and 3. Alabama dominated the glass early on, probably dominated the glass all game, to be honest. I can look that up real quick. I just kind of assumed they're going to dominate the glass. Yeah, beat Missouri 44-28 on the boards. And, just a little bit better team. The good news for Missouri, if they play Alabama again, it's probably going to be in the Final Four, guys, or at least the Elite Eight. So I guess you feel pretty good about that. And Joe says, so tired of losing to Alabama and everything. I got bad news, Joe. A lot of teams losing to Alabama and a lot of things. Like, we know what Alabama football is. And I strongly believe, I mean, if you want to play semantics and say Houston or Kansas or somebody is a better team, I'm not going to argue with you. But Alabama is one of the best teams in college basketball. I understand why people don't like them. Frankly, Nate Oates is a hard guy to like. I mean, he's fairly obnoxious, and he has really mishandled the last month. Brad Woods says that character matters, and you would like to think character matters. Nate Oates might win a national title. And I'm not saying that Nate Oates has no character, that I don't know him. I'm saying, as somebody who watches SEC basketball, he is an easy coach to root against. That is all I'm saying. And I understand it being frustrating to lose to Bama, but again, Bama's just good. Guys, they're just really good. At some point here, we are going to hang on for Drew King to join us from Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. He is doing post-game and in the Missouri locker room and such. So I told Drew, hey, just click in whenever you have a chance to click in. So we will wait on him. While we've got just a minute before that, I do want to remind you of this show. What we need you to do, first of all, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button to the channel. If you're listening on the podcast, share it on social media, do all those things. But also, the shows are made possible by our friend James Carlton at State Farm Insurance in Webster Groves. If you live in Missouri or Illinois, go to carltoninsurance.net, call them at 314-961-4800, facebook.com/Carlton Insurance. Many different ways to get in touch with them. Just reach out and see if maybe they can save you a little bit of money on your insurance. Chances are they probably can. Even if they can't, you're doing a good thing for this site and for the University of Missouri if you do it, because if you reach out to James and you get a quote and you tell him you heard about it on Power Mizzou, he's going to donate $20 to Power Mizzou's fund at Missouri's NIL Collective, Every True Tiger Foundation. So worst case scenario, he says, hey, I can't save you any money, but here's how much it would cost. Thanks for calling. I'll donate $20 to the NIL Collective, and maybe Missouri can go find a Brandon Miller, but they didn't have one today, and that's tough luck for Mizzou. So, Man at Arms says, let them keep recruiting, get some length coming in and give them time. Yeah, this is a really good time to remember. This is year one for Dennis Gates. Year one. They're 24-8. Missouri last year won 12 games. Gates doubled the number of wins in a season. Gates has more wins than any Missouri team has won in a single season in 13 years. He will, on Thursday or Friday, attempt to win the first NCAA tournament game at Missouri in 13 years. He made the SEC tournament semifinals for the first time ever. He had the highest finish ever in the SEC tournament, or SEC regular season, I should say. So tough to find much there to complain about. Today established, they're not quite Alabama. Not yet. Not many are. Mississippi State surely was not. Many others have not been. Danny's Lemon Drop says Mizzou was competitive with arguably the best team in the nation. Can't be upset in that. With that, 100% agree. And we got to throw this comment up. Anytime it shows up in green, we know we got to put it on the screen. Our guy Jared has been generous with us for the last couple of years, waiting on Drew. How much money in Super Chat to open up the sober call lines like you did when we were a proper country? Guys, it's real easy why I don't take calls anymore. First of all, it was a nightmare. I understand the attraction for you guys of listening to drunk people calling me and saying the same things over and over and, having cat facts on the air and stuff like that. But technologically, it was a nightmare. And I switched platforms to a platform that, so far as I know, does not support taking phone calls. If we figure out a way to do that, maybe at some point we will. But for now, we're not going to take the phone calls. We're just going to make you guys make up fake internet names and type your comments and putting them on the screen like we have been doing. So that is what we are doing. Missouri now will, again, probably I'm assuming they may already be back on their way back from Nashville. I imagine it's probably coming pretty soon if they haven't actually left Bridgestone yet. But Mizzou ought to be back here in Columbia in the next 3 to 4 hours. They will then wait for the NCAA tournament selection show, which is sometime around 5 o'clock tomorrow, sometime between 5 and 6. We ought to know Missouri's NCAA seed, region, destination, and path. And that is what Swaggy G wants to talk about. What's the seed projection? So my seed projection is a 6. I would seed this team as a 6 seed. I think the strength of record going into today was 18. I don't know. I haven't checked Ken Palm since this game ended. I don't think this game did any damage to Missouri's resume or metrics. Probably it might have helped a little bit. Net won't be updated tomorrow. Excuse me. They came in today, I think, 9th in the net. And so they'll finish top 50. Might have been 48 today. Was 18. Resume says, I just got the internet. Back hopes we're again. If this isn't going to work, we're just going to drop it in the comments. You can't see me, then you can't, and we'll have Cartersville and seed or a 6 seed. I am not really working. Guys, I hate to do this to you.